Oh, I see how it is. You changed how you want to be summoned into the room. Okay, I get it. I get it now.
Apparently you have to call him by his first name now. It's like
His first name is Craig.
that's also his last name. His
Yeah,
full name
Craig.
is Craig.
Craig.
Yeah, his full name, all three names is Craig, Craig, Craig.
Craig.
Just
Craig. Craig.
the apostrophes are in different spots, is what it is.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the CR apostrophe AIG, that's his first name.
Okay. Okay. I see.
Yeah, I know that's super complicated. But yeah, welcome to the Grumpy Dungeon Masters podcast, where we bitch and complain about Wizards of the Coast. I'm your host, Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay, and my co-host is
Co-host?
co-host. We host together. We both do this. That's what that word
Oh.
means.
Oh.
I said co-host, not like sub-host or anything like that.
I'm just making sure. I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher, and it's not just Wizards of the Coast. It's just mostly them.
Yeah, it's primarily them.
Yeah.
We do bitch about players occasionally too, and ourselves quite often.
Yeah. So starting off with Wizards of the Coast today, somebody digitally enhanced and redid the image for the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle starter set.
I remember you
And
bitching about that a couple of months ago, I think.
yeah, well, no, well, the guy took the image and like basically did the whole like movie enhance this section of the screen, and he made things clearer. So he has like pretty much the entire module table of contents written out.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's pretty much just like there's it's a level 1 through 5 adventure. Okay, so
Yeah.
nothing too crazy. You show up on Dragon Rest, which is an island. Okay, or Stormwreck Isle, whatever, whichever.
Yeah.
You find a bunch of there's a place called Dragon's Rest. You meet some people, you get some quests, you start going on those little side quests. Okay, like any starter set is.
Mhm.
Then you find some caves. You go through the caves because that's what you do. You fight some owlbears, you fight some kobolds, you fight some myconids, you fight some harpies, and then you fight the big dragon at the very end.
The hell did the myconids ever do to anybody? Why are you
They
fighting
were
them?
mushrooms.
Yeah, they're mushrooms. I really want to play one of those, by the way.
Yeah, a myconid?
Yeah, I would love to play that as like a PC race.
You just stand there and you want to do anything.
No, no, they can walk around. They're probably like half speed, but
But then they showed, and I did not see this, and I'm trying to find the picture for it now. They are coming out with miniatures for the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon characters
okay.
from
The
WizKids.
the, the OG ones.
Yes, because they are the pre-generated characters for this adventure.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So,
Okay.
yay!
I had zero interest at all in this thing because it's another module. It's level 1 to 5, whatever. The fact that it has them as playable characters, at the very least, I'm interested because I want to see their character sheets.
I mean, they're level 1. I mean, what do you expect?
No, I just want to see what they are. Every one of them had a magic item. Like that's how they got their power. Yeah, they couldn't do anything. But one of them had like an artifact level bow that never ran out of ammo. Another one had a cloak that you can just pull up and boom, you're invisible. Like that's not. I'm not talking high stealth check invisible. I mean magically invisible. Like that's a powerful item.
Could you still
What?
do? Could he still do actions?
Yeah. Well, no, she never did anything. She just sort of hid. That was sort of the only thing she was able to do. She didn't have a weapon, if I remember right.
No,
Uh,
but I just sent you the link. Yeah, they're coming out with a little blister pack and it has all the original characters on it. I'm picking it up for sure. The blister packs that they've been coming out with recently at WizKids for like the kobolds and the goblins, the orcs. They
yeah.
had for Witchlight they had like the good guys and all the bad guys. The bad guys included Warduke and a bunch of other named second edition, first edition characters in it. And I've been picking those things up as soon as I find them. Like I almost don't want to crack them open, you know.
Yep.
But the
Yeah.
minis look pretty good, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm on the Wikipedia for the Dungeons and Dragons TV series, and because I haven't seen the show in a long, long time, but yeah. So the main guy, Hank, the ranger, had a magical energy bow. Yeah, the whole bow was just magical. It fired like laser beams. Eric the Cavalier had a magical shield that could project a force field. Then
Uh
there
huh.
was, let's see, there was the acrobat. I don't think she had anything except a staff. I don't think she had any magic items. Uh, there was the wizard who couldn't wizard. He was like the worst wizard ever, like Orko level of bad wizard.
Until the new series.
That may well is there? Are they making a new series?
No, the one just well, technically
Oh,
yes,
you
but
mean Orko from Masters of the Universe new series?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He was
Uh,
like, I'm the master of magic now. What?
yeah,
No, this is
yeah.
wrong. Nope, it is. It's true. I am. Damn.
But yeah, there was Sheila the thief who had the cloak of invisibility. It was the only thing she ever did. She just hid all the time. Bobby the barbarian. He did. Let's see. He had a horned helmet and a harness. He had a club, if I remember right, that could cause earthquakes or something. Yeah, he had a
Who?
thunder club. That's what it
Who?
was.
So who's the girl, the cleric?
I don't think there was a cleric. They had a ranger, a cavalier, the acrobat, the magician, the thief, the barbarian, and a unicorn.
Okay, so this miniature set includes the ranger, the cavalier, the acrobat, the wizard, and some black-haired girl wearing blue with a sun symbol casting magic. The
Okay, well,
thief and the barbarian are not in this set.
okay, yeah, that fifth that cleric person is maybe they were a one-off in one of the episodes. Uh, let's
Yeah,
see.
paladin, cleric, wizard, fighter, rogue. That's comes in this little blister pack.
Possibly it was Karina, and I'm pulling all this from the wiki because I don't have enough memories of this show. Karina, according to the wiki, was the sister of Venger, who was the bad guy from the show, and his rival in conquering their world.
I'm looking at the back of the blister pack on the WizKid sites. It doesn't even call them by their name. It's just paladin, cleric, wizard, rogue, fighter.
Well, they might not have the rights to any of it.
Why not?
I mean, who owns the rights to the cartoon? I don't know. Okay, apparently, yeah, the description you gave is not Karina. So I don't know. Home media. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not going to dig through all this just to figure out who had the rights to the complete animated series, but uh, go back and watch it. Hell, I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah,
It's
I know
it's pretty terrible. But
I know they're coming out with a Tiamat statue,
yeah,
with stats from the cartoon.
I
It's like
still
a CR5 monster.
oh yeah, yeah. I think we've talked about that, but
Yeah,
I really still want I want the LJN one from 1980s, like that version of Tiamat. It's horrible. Like the miniature. It's not a miniature. It's a toy, but it's just so poorly made because all the toys in the 80s were poorly made.
yeah, that's true.
A friend of mine, he's been collecting a lot of the new Masters of the Universe toys that are coming out, and they're like fully articulated. You can move their elbows and their knees and everything. And I'm seeing it, and I'm like, that's wrong. You're not supposed to be able to bend their legs and knees. That's not how He-Man toys work.
Ooh, they're also coming out with an aspect of Tiamat, who's like the tiny version of Tiamat that everyone already owns.
A tiny version of Tiamat.
Well, so like they released when Aspect of the Dragons came out, they released a Bahamut and a Tiamat miniature, and this is like maybe 6 inches tall, 6 inches wide. It's a gargantuan figure, but it's on a very small base. And then you have the brand new gargantuan Tiamat that came out that's the size of a house cat, if not bigger,
Okay,
like a small dog.
fill me
So
in. What is aspect of the dragon?
it's just they're re-releasing a smaller version
No,
of
what?
Tiamat.
Oh, okay. So I'm just trying to figure out what aspect of the dragon is. You
Hey,
mentioned it.
aspect of Tiamat.
Okay, so
The
just
aspect of Tiamat.
all right.
There's a
So
tinier. It's the re-releasing the tiny Tiamat miniature that they've released 5 years ago.
okay. As I know nothing about the miniatures side of D&D, it didn't mean anything to me. You were just saying it. I was
Uh
very
huh.
confused.
Ooh, and they're also coming out with an ogre warband to go with the goblin and orc warbands they came out with recently. Why are you taking all my money? I know I need to keep my money for me. I have a child.
Well, yeah, kid can figure out how to feed themselves.
No, no. One of these ogre. Okay, so there's three ogre figures. Okay, looks to be two female ogres and a male ogre.
Okay,
Um, with a spear and an axe for the females and a giant club for the male. And then there's another male ogre figure who's all these are green skins except for this other one is like a brown skin ogre. He's wearing like wooden armor and has like a top of a silo to a farm, like a farm silo,
all
as
right,
like his shield, like a buckler. Okay,
all right.
and then on his back, some goblins have created his canopy and like Master Blaster style are riding him.
Yeah, he's using.
And
They're using. He's a Halda.
yeah, so yeah, I need this. Oh, I need this so bad.
I mean, if I played a goblin and somebody else was playing an ogre or a half giant or something, I'd ride on their back. Definitely would do that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've talked about the gnome character Noodle a few times on here, but in my campaign when I was running it, he used to ride on the back of the Dragonborn fighter.
Yeah. I get that a lot too. I get a lot whenever I have a small character, tiny character. I want to ride on somebody,
Yeah,
and then I get their move and my own move.
yeah,
Eh,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah.
don't like that. I mean, it makes sense, but it's kind of like cheating the
It
system.
it kind of is cheating the system, but it still works. Like with a horse, if you're riding a horse, uh, I mean, how would that work? If you're riding a horse and it moves its full movement, and then you decide to jump off of it and move your full movement, it's still the same thing as if you're riding on another PC.
I guess, but it still
It
feels bad.
Yeah, it feels cheap, but at the same time, I'm still going to allow it. So yeah, so long as the character they're riding on has like an 18 strength or something really high, I'm not gonna question it too much. Now, if they're
Really
riding on their
fascinating.
if they're riding on their back and that person gets into combat while they're on their back, uh, at that point, I might give them disadvantage to attack or something, just because at that point you have this dude riding on your back. The whole thing gets a little complicated at that point.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
yeah,
of rules, I've been playing the Lost Mines of Phandelver, and more as a joke to myself, but just because I finally get a chance to like really push this home. Um, every time I get into a fight with my warlock character that I'm playing, my Hexblade warlock, if I
mhm,
use a single spell, I'm like, all right, guys, I need to rest for an hour. I can't do anything. I need an hour's rest after this 30-second combat because I use a spell. Can I sit here for an hour and not do anything, please? And it's kind of, I think I'm kind of grating on the DM because I'm doing
like
it after every single combat. But it's like, why wouldn't I? It like if I'm like for really a warlock, and I know that I need to sit down and recollect my thoughts for an hour after every time I kill somebody because I use up my spells.
yep.
Why wouldn't I do that? Now I
Um,
get mechanically that it's annoying, to do that,
yeah,
but I mean, every time we go to the LARP or whatnot, and we get into a fight and we get kind of low, we just take a break for a little bit,
yeah,
recharge ourselves, and then go back
yeah.
out there.
Mind you, that's also a little different scenario.
Yeah,
If because we can just retreat to our cabin, a safe location. If you're in the middle of a dangerous area, you sit down for an hour, you're at risk.
Oh yeah, you run that risk. That risk is still there, you know.
Hmm.
But I mean, why wouldn't you?
Because you run
Because
that risk. That's why.
okay, so they come to you instead of you going to them.
Well, you're still out of spells. I mean, honestly, if you're playing a warlock and you're out of spells, that doesn't matter because you have Eldritch Blast, which is the only thing you should be casting anyway.
Yeah, about that. I got a giant two-handed fuck off imaginary sword that I
Cool
hit people
story.
with.
Eldritch Blast is still better.
Eldritch Blast is not better than 2d6. Thank you.
Well, it gets better pretty quickly at 2d10.
Uh-huh. Yeah. If it hits two separate targets.
Just saying.
No, it's not better. It's just
No,
different.
it is better.
No, I'm doing better. I mean, I'll get extra attack, so then I'll be doing 4d6, and 4d6 is better than 2d10. And I crit on a 19, so that's automatically better than anything Eldritch Blast can pull out of its.
Well, I mean, Eldritch Blast at 5th level, you have 2 beams. At 11th
Yeah,
level, you have 3 beams. At 17th, you have 4 beams. Each one's a
yeah.
D10 damage. If you take the right invocations, you then get to add your charisma modifier to damage. I mean,
Hmm.
it's ridiculously good. You can push
Oh yeah,
pull. You can push people with it. You can pull people with it, depending on what invocations you've taken. So,
yeah. Or I can just hit them with a fuck off sword.
or you can hit them from 300 feet away.
Yeah, but no room is 300 feet wide.
Yeah, but if you're outside, I mean, to be fair, if you're using a actual battle mat, yeah, or if you're playing online, you're never going to have a 300-foot range like to shoot people with. Um, that's why I've always kind of preferred like second edition. A lot of it was theater of mind. The
Yeah,
ranges in that game were much larger. All
yeah. Speaking of large rooms, I do know what my next one shot's going to be.
right, just one
So
large room.
yes, it's going to be one large, 1,000 foot long, 100 foot wide hallway.
All right, so it's
Nope.
a hallway for a Tarask
No, it's the belly of a shit.
of a Tarask of a kaiju.
No, none of it. I can't remember the damn name now. Holy crap!
I hate when
I'm
that
too
happens.
old.
Yep,
Um,
hey, I have that problem happen every single day.
oh, it's one of my favorite monsters in D&D, and I can't remember the damn thing.
Leviathan, Kraken.
No.
Oh, the shit. Astral
Yeah,
Dreadnought.
yeah, Astro Dreadnought. It's the belly of the Astro Dreadnought.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, and the whole thing is you're trying to find your way out. I mean, there is a way out of an Astral Dreadnought. I'm
Yeah,
not going to say it here to spoil it. Look it up yourself if you really want to figure it out. But that's what the whole one shot's going to be. You got to basically go through everything that's inside the belly of this Astral Dreadnought and find a way to get yourself out of this extra dimensional plane that is its stomach.
I like it. That's actually a pretty creative idea for a one shot.
Yep. Patent
Uh,
pending.
patent pending. Yeah. Speaking of one shots, so this may take a little while. So I ran a one shot last night, and I had briefly sort of told you the idea that somebody was sort of putting together a theme park dungeon for people to go through, and they didn't give enough money for them to put the whole dungeon together. So they hired on some people. These people start throwing a dungeon together, and it's like they hire the cheapest labor force they can. They don't pay their employees very much. They only hired kobolds to do all of the work, and so my players, it was a group of 4 of them. They ended up creating their 4 third level characters and running through this thing, and they didn't have a clue what I was doing. So they're in a tavern. They overhear a tale about this dungeon. There's a dragon that lives in there. There's tons of loot in there if you can survive. So they go up to start heading to the dungeon the next day, and on the way they see a sign that's mispainted that says "Dungeon this way," and it's completely misspelled because it was kobolds who were writing this thing. And they go to the entrance of the dungeon. Turns out it was the old mines. And within the dungeon, the first thing they do, if I recall correctly, I'm just sort of going through. I have the list of all the stuff they went through, but not necessarily in order. But I think the first thing they did was find a minecart, like a brand new, perfectly minecart on a track that would fit 4 people. So they hop in the minecart and start rolling down the track, which then opens up into a very, very large cavern with 2 more tracks, one on the right and one on the left. And like a 20-foot gap in between each track, that the tracks start getting a little closer. So about the time they hit this open area, they see 2 more carts coming up to the right and left of them on those other tracks with a couple of bugbears and a couple of goblins in them. So I immediately cue the Indiana Jones music on YouTube, and I
Okay.
ran basically an encounter straight out of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where they're on the carts, just sort of jumping between them, fighting with everything.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, we had miniatures for this, and since we didn't have cart miniatures or anything, I used 2 gelatinous cubes, which are 4x4 on the map. So I was
Yeah.
able to take 4 miniatures and just set them on top of the gelatinous cube.
Oh, no, that works.
It worked perfectly. We had 2 gelatinous cubes and 1 Rubik's cube. We didn't have enough gelatinous cubes. So.
All right.
Uh, but yeah, it was very, very just sort of shenanigan heavy. A couple of the other things they went through in there. There was supposed to be a water trap. So they go into a room. It's got 2 metal doors and just a 20 by 20 room with like 10 or 12 foot high ceilings, completely stone room, and the door locks behind them. And at that point, if you've done a water trap, the water's supposed to start pouring in. Well, it's a kobold trap. So the kobold just dumps a bucket of water down there. Then they're like, wait, we need more. So they send another kobold to get another bucket. After about 3 or 4 buckets, they're like, this is going to take too long. They just let the players out.
I love that idea of I love that idea of the kobold. It's just kind of like, all right, we spring the trap. They're gonna drown. We put it in 3 feet of water. That'll kill them for sure.
I mean, to a kobold, 3 feet of water, you have to swim. You know.
Right. And then
Let's
they get
see.
bored and go to sleep, and you just gotta like walk out of the trap.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like I feel bad for them. Let's just put our face in the water, pretend we're drowning. Oh, blah, 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 go
Blah,
on,
blah,
go
blah,
on.
blah. Yeah, let's make them think we're doing a good job. Yeah, but this wasn't even 3 feet of water. This was literally just a couple of puddles. Like they're dumping buckets of water on the people below them.
Uh,
Let's there's a couple other good encounters. There was one where they enter into a room and there's a couple of cages at the back of the room, and one of them has like a giant fire lizard in it,
yeah.
and the other one had a horse painted to look like a fire lizard because they couldn't find 2 fire lizards. So they just went and stole a horse and painted it to look like one.
I like it.
Yeah. Like the whole thing was just ridiculous. It was kind of silly, and my players were just entertained throughout the entirety of it. Yeah, I love doing shit like that for one shots. Not so much with my campaigns. Maybe occasionally I'll have an adventure that's a little silly, but
Yeah.
uh, the last part of it was when they had to fight the dragon. And I know I told you the idea of this the other day. Uh, so they get into the room, and there actually is a hoard of gold back there with a dragon on it. The thing is, though, it wasn't a dragon. It was actually 4 bugbears who were tied together. So one of them was wearing like a suit that made it look like the head and neck of a dragon. One of them was in the position where the tail would be at, and they had a giant club that was painted up to look like the tail of a dragon.
So
And
pretty much every dragon we ever fought at the LARP.
at the LARP, yeah. Yeah, that's literally where the idea came from. And the two other ones were the claws, who were tied to the side of them. They actually had a little more movement range than everybody else. And then to the pièce de résistance was the two kobolds who were holding up the two cloaks attached to the claws to make it look like wings. So naturally, the players go in there and just sort of roll through this thing, and yeah, all in all, good times were had. Oh, the other thing that I had them do that I almost forgot about after they wrapped up killing the dragon and they were exiting the dungeon, they go into a room that's 10, it's like a 10 by 10 room. And there's a small box there on a table with a bunch of cards on it. And looking at the cards, it's what do they call them? How would you rate your experience in the dungeon?
Yeah.
God, what do they call those things? Not
Comment
questionnaires.
cards?
Yeah, it's like a questionnaire card. But there were three questions that were asked of them, like how was your experience in the dungeon? How was the loot distribution through the dungeon, and was it challenging enough? Uh, thank you for thank you for using Dungeons R Us. Please rate us. So I actually had my players fill out the cards for that.
Did you actually get them handed into you?
Yes, I'm staring at them right now.
What did they write?
Let's see.
Start with
So
Jacob.
I honestly I don't know whose is whose, but let's see. The how was your experience in the dungeon? Very fun, but you need to do more for the water trap. One kobold shot me in the face. Loot was okay, but you might want to include items. The mine carts and the maze ambush were challenging. All in all, 4 stars. This one was Jacob's. He wrote this one in a mix of 4 different languages just to piss off whoever had to read it on the other side. It was written in Dwarvish, Gnomish, Halfling, and Loxodon, since he was playing a Loxodon.
What does the Loxodon language look like?
Probably trunk imprints, I would imagine.
I just think it'd be Morse code, just like they just put
Oh
giant
yeah,
dots.
just dots. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. It's all just it's like you take the end of your trunk, you dip it in some paint, and then you
Oh my
stamp it and
god,
spin it in different directions to make different symbols.
I am not wrong.
Oh,
This is from World Anvil, which is what is the first Google result. So everyone's
okay.
going to take this as canon. When written, this language uses a set of small tools to make precise dots and hatch marks to create the scripts.
Huh. I'm looking at it though. Like that could be a legit language though.
Dot dot dot.
There are a lot of dots, sort of they're like angular dots. I guess arrows. It looks more like arrows or caltrops. It's like the entire language is made out of caltrops. That's
But
so
they're
weird.
elephants.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. I wonder. I wonder if I'd imagine loxodons are all really good at painting.
I'll never forget.
Yeah, they never forget either. That needs to be a thing. Like all loxodons should start with like +2 intellect.
Uh, yeah, I was gonna steal that idea about the dragon for you for my D&D competition that I'm still going, but I kind of ran into this issue where like I want to keep it funny,
Mhm.
but not too funny.
Yeah, yeah. For one you're running at home, just complete silliness for a one shot like what I did. It was just over the top silliness. That's fine. I for a competition,
Yeah,
I would definitely say a little humor is fine, but you probably don't want to go overboard. Not like that.
yeah, and that's pretty much what I thought with. I mean, I've made this well known to the people that I've talked to. You know, I gave them the rules, not the 100% rules. I got to still publish those tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
But essentially, you know, people are going to get points for doing things, and both positive and negative. But I tell them like, you know, this thing's going to be it's going to be like it's possible for you to die in the first place, in the first hallway, the first room. Like you can walk in there and just blam, you're dead. You know, thanks for playing. So I have a 4-hour time limit, but I don't know if everyone's going to survive it because like there are some traps in this place that are just will just straight up kill you,
Yeah,
and there's some that would just nickel and dime you just enough that when you actually get into a physical combat, you're not going to have anything.
yeah, you've already burned through your resources.
Right.
For a competitive D&D thing, that's important. You
Yeah.
need like the 5e. It's kind of hard to kill people if you follow the modules or just sort of follow things as they're set. But for a
Yeah.
competitive game, you need to be able to kill people. Like
And
you know,
then I realized that it might possibly be a tie. So I have an idea on how to fix that tie, which I'll run by you after the podcast. I'm not going to give anything away on the podcast.
naturally.
Um, but I do have like a 15-30 minute like thing that we can do to break a tie.
Okay.
So
Ties go into overtime type thing.
ties go into overtime kind of thing, and it may not even happen too, because like more likely there's going to be at least one team, I hope, that will be successful. But I know that there's got to be some, most of the teams will just die in the first couple rooms.
Yeah, I
So
mean, if they die in the first couple rooms, that's easy enough. It weeds them out. I did like the fifth player thing the fifth character idea you had mentioned.
yeah, for a penalty they can activate a fifth character. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something that I was debating about doing a lot. But like I don't want like someone to die in the first place and not be able to do anything, so they can still take the hit and use the backup character.
yeah,
You
but
know?
with something like this, you kind of want the people showing up to think of it like a Magic the Gathering tournament. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, you go into this thing, you run into the first room, you fail whatever the check is or the trap, and your character's dead. At that point, you're done.
yeah,
While the rest of your party might survive and get to go forward, your time there is done. Having the fifth player gives one person an opportunity to stick around a little longer.
right.
But in general, it is the idea if you lose and that's it. It's over.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and still got a lot of work to do, but I think it's gonna work. I'm getting all the prizes shipped to me next week, and I
Mhm.
was able to fix the dice problem. I had ordered a bunch of custom dice for this, but they order somehow went from like, oh, it's gonna be 2 weeks to get this done to 8 weeks. So I had
Ooh,
to basically
yeah.
find another vendor to buy more dice from, and but that worked. It cost a little bit of extra, but I was able to get that handled. And I was even able to do more customization on the new dice,
Oh,
so that people who show up will get a grumpy die. It just has the logo on the 6, but
yeah.
on the 1 pip it says DC for Dungeon Champion 2022 on it.
Oh, nice.
So these dice are gonna be very specific to the Grumpy Dungeon Master tournament in 2022.
Yeah, even I don't have any of those guys. So if you
Nope.
yeah,
And
you
then I
get
got the
something we don't even have.
I get the D6s and the D10s for just with 2022 on them, so I can start handing those out.
Well, you better save me a D10 at least.
Mm,
I need
come get it.
percentiles of them.
Come get it.
Probably can't do them as percentiles though. I'd imagine they're all the same color.
Well, no, well these are like orange and they're orange vortex, so they're orange and white. They're orange base. They got white throughout them,
Mhm.
like misty, and the numbers are black. So
Okay.
they look different than the
Oh yeah,
2021 GDM dice.
yeah, but we didn't have any D10s for the 2021 ones.
No, no,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if I had two of the D10s from 2022, I still can't use them as percentile because they look the same.
maybe 2023.
Yeah, I need a D10 from 2022 and a D10 from 2023, and then I'll have my Grumpy Dungeon Master percentiles.
Yeah, then I can find some place to like make custom D4s or something. Like people do D6s, some people do D10s, and then very few people do D20s. So it's really weird.
Yeah, that's
No
kind
one
of
does
odd.
D12s, which would if you could do D10s and D6s, why can't you do D12s?
I look if they can do D anything, they should be able to do D anything. Yeah,
Well,
like
the D4 is understandably difficult because
it's just a mold. It's not understandably difficult. It's
it
just a mold.
for the D4, it's where do you put the logo? Because you don't have a side that has one number. No matter what D4 you have, whether it's the
Okay,
flat or the point, there's
okay,
three numbers there. So what do you do? Like, where do you put that?
yeah. Ignoring the logo, if without the logo, it's not an issue. With the logo, okay, yeah, I fully understand that being a lot more difficult.
I mean, maybe you can put a 1, 2, and a 3 on a side, but then you can't roll it at that point in time. The number is the one that's flat. You have to pick it up and look at it. So
Oh well,
I don't think you can
they
make
make
it custom more.
they make like rectangle D4s. Like I've seen these before. Uh, rectangle
Yeah, the
D.
crystal D4. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Just
maybe.
look up rectangle D4, and it'll come up. Yeah, yeah, crystal D4, whatever you want to call it. But those would work fine. That'd be easy to put the logo on.
Yeah, maybe.
Now finding some place that makes them custom, well, that's a whole other ball game.
Honestly, Etsy. A lot of stuff on Etsy. A lot of people doing stuff on Etsy.
It's true. Etsy used to be a place where you could only sell handcrafted goods way back in the day. Now you can, like eBay sellers just sell everything on there nowadays. It's just another eBay at this point.
Yeah, and screw licenses.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole other ball game.
Speaking of licenses, I picked up a new book today.
Oh, oh, wait, is it the Game Master's Book of Non-Player Characters by Jeff Ashworth?
Have you contacted him to get on the podcast yet?
I actually looked into it. He doesn't have a social media presence.
Uh huh.
So he's going to be hard to get a hold of. But yes, I am going to try to figure out how to reach out to him. I did look into it.
I bought an individual copy of
Monsters of the
uh
Multiverse.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, my buddy, my player Mike was. We were bitching about it this past week because he bought a copy of it as well.
But did he buy the collector's edition copy?
No, he did not. He didn't spend that amount of extra money.
So I went to a game store and they were selling the tri-pack book, but split up.
Okay.
Somebody bought Tasha's, someone bought Xanathar's, and they didn't buy Monsters of the Multiverse, and now I have a travel copy of the fancy book that goes with me. I can
Uh,
keep my monsters at home.
well, if you have the collector's edition version of it, you need to set that on your shelf and never touch it again until you're ready to sell it.
No, well, it's a collector's edition version of it that
Like it has the
it's
nice fancy cover, the white cover
yeah,
with the Chiron on it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's going to be worth a ridiculous amount of money here in about 2 years.
yeah. I
Every,
doubt it.
every one of those collector's books is. Every one of them.
Except Strixhaven. You want to know why it's
Well,
not Strixhaven? Because every game store in this area has like 3 copies of the Strixhaven collector's edition sitting on the shelf.
yeah, well, nobody cared about Strixhaven. Let's be real.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, let's
so
see.
you can now write for Strixhaven modules on DM's Guild.
Yeah, like I'm just looking on eBay right now. There's one copy of Xanathar's Guide to Everything Collector's Edition. It's listed for $500.
Yeah, but that came out before 5e got popular,
I'm
before the
just
explosion.
Yeah, but I'm not saying every single one of them, but the one Tasha's, Xanathar's, Volo's, uh, Mordenkainen's, those all of those are worth money. The campaigns, like the modules, maybe not so much.
Yeah,
Strixhaven, nobody cared about Strixhaven. They couldn't even get Alkin right. Called it some other garbage.
they couldn't get Alkin right.
Well, I mean, I'm not wrong.
Not really. No.
Like an Owlin. What is this garbage? So, one of my players sent me a TikTok video earlier, of which, when they send me TikTok videos, I watch about 1 in 10 of them. But I actually did watch this one, and it's a D&D related thing.
Hmm.
and it was the guy. He was looking at the Sun Soul Monk. And let me actually grab my book. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So one of the things the Sun Soul Monk gets, I believe, is Radiant Sunbolt. Yeah, that's it. Radiant
Hmm.
Sunbolt. You gain a new attack option that you can use with the attack action. This special attack is a ranged spell attack with a range of 30 feet. So then in the TikTok video, he got to thinking about that. If it's a ranged spell attack, one, can you counterspell it? Don't answer right now. And then two, can you use a Wand of the War Mage with it to give it a plus to the attack roll?
Okay.
So what's your thoughts on that?
What's a range spell attack, right?
Yeah, it reads as if you roll it. It's done as an attack, but you roll it as a ranged spell attack.
Hold on. Let me check something.
The Wand of the War Mage. While holding this wand, you gain a bonus to spell attack rolls determined by the wand's rarity. In addition, you ignore half cover when making a spell attack.
So a ranged spell attack is the same as a firebolt. Okay, a firebolt is a ranged spell attack.
Yes.
Okay, and you can counterspell firebolt.
Uh huh.
So I don't see why you couldn't counterspell radiant sunbolt.
Okay. Now, with the counter spell thing, and I was unsure. I actually had to go look up the wording of counter spell specifically.
Yeah.
That's something. That's what DMs who, especially newer DMs, they need to learn about this. If you are unsure on something, look it up and read the exact wording because, especially with 5e, they're very good about the wording to help you understand what is and is not doable. Uh, so with counterspell, the first sentence is you attempt to interrupt a creature in the process of casting a spell. So with the Sun Soul Monk, it specifically says this is done as an attack. So it's not casting a spell; it's part of the attack action. So counterspell, I don't believe would work on that ability. But the Wand of the War Mage, however, also says that you get the bonuses to a spell attack. So you could use the Wand of the War Mage on it. At least this was sort of how I understood it from reading through stuff.
Okay, yeah. So looking at what cantrip says. Cantrip says is a spell that can be cast at will without using a spell slot and without being prepared in advance. Repeated practice has the spell has fixed the spell in the character's mind and infused the caster with the match you need to produce the effect over and over. Cantrip spell level is 0. So a cantrip like Firebolt is not the same as the Sun Soul Punch. So yeah, it's not a. It is a ranged spell attack, but it's not a spell. It's still an attack. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Um, and then one of the War Mage, you're right too, where it says bonus of spell attack rolls. So yeah, it would still apply to that.
Yep. It's kind of interesting. Like I think this is pretty reasonably potent, at least, because with the Radiant Sunbolt, uh, you are proficient with it, and you add your Dexterity modifier to its attack and damage rolls.
Hmm.
So you're adding that already, and then you're adding the bonus for the Wand of the War Mage to the attack rolls. So and it deals damage effectively equal to your monk damage. So
Yeah,
I don't have that chart in front of me, but starts off at a D4, D6, D8, D10, and so forth.
yeah. It's basically the Sun Soul is Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
throwing your ki at people, that kind of style of fighting. It's relatively weak overall. I mean, you got the Sunbolt, which is cool, but overall the damage is very, very on the low end. I've never seen it in action, so all I can look at is kind of what text is here and kind of just guess on
yeah.
how potent it would be.
I don't think it's super powerful or anything like that. It's just an interesting, um, combination of things that I wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah.
until I saw this video. And there's a lot of stuff like that. If that works, then it makes and it was making that other guy who posted the video wonder about it. What other things can you tie in with the Radiant Sunbolt? Specifically because it being a spell attack action, and there may be other stuff that is
Yeah.
usable like
I,
that.
I would allow the wand of the war mage specifically on the point that it needs the help. I think because the monk table for the damage die. Let me pull it up here.
Decent.
It's
Monks are
horrible.
monk. No, no, it isn't.
Well, so your damage for the sunbolt until level 5 is 1d4,
Mhm.
and then 5 to 10 is 1d6, 11 to 16 it's 1d8, and then 17 to 20 it's 1d10. That's
Yes,
that's
yes.
horrible. But
Except
even if you're making it 5 times a turn, you're just casting Eldritch Blast equivalent stuff at that point in time.
the Sunbolt, you wouldn't be able to do that many attacks with it. Normally, you can do it once a round. If you spend a key, you get a second use of it in that same attack action.
Yeah.
So it is
Well,
sort
if
of
you
limited like that.
when you take attack and you use a key, you throw 2 more, not just 1 more.
No, well, I think according to what it said specifically, you
Yeah,
get
you can
one.
spend 1 key point to make the special attack twice as a bonus action.
Yeah, but it is your bonus action, so then you still get your regular attack action on top of that.
Yeah.
So
So
if
you
you're
get
high enough
attack.
level, you're getting 4 attacks out of it.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's
yeah, when you
1d4
get
or
and it also
1d6.
says when you gain the extra attack feature, this special attack can be used for any of the attacks you make as part of the attack action.
Yeah. It's cool. It's just you need more damage than a 1d4.
Well, by the point you're doing that, it's at least a little higher. It's D6 or D8. Uh, it's
Yeah.
not ridiculous by any means. Monks are pretty decent damage dealers overall.
And the fact that Burning Hands is the spell you get at 6th level instead of something else that's unique.
Oh,
I don't know. That
I
kind
didn't
of
even look at the other garbage they get.
at 6th level, you spend 2 key points to cast Burning Hands as a spell bonus action. So
Yeah, that's kind of
big,
weak.
big bang attack. Like
Well,
it should be something bigger.
no, as a bonus action, that's pretty decent
Yeah, I
because
don't know.
you can hit multiple creatures with it, and it's a bonus action. Yeah, if it was your full action to do that, no, it'd be garbage. But as a bonus action, you're still getting you get your 2 attacks plus that.
Yeah,
Plus, you can spend additional key points to cast it as a higher level spell. Like, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but I think it's reasonable for 6th level.
maybe. At level 11, you get you can
You get
create an orb
fireball.
of light.
Not really, but
Yeah, the orb of light that explodes. So you get the spirit bomb. So anything within 150 feet, you can throw it at, and they take 2d6 in a 20-foot sphere.
see,
Ooh,
here's my problem with this one. It you gain the ability to create an orb of light that erupts into a devastating explosion.
2d6.
That is anything but devastating. At 11th level, fireball, which is what 8d6, that's not even devastating at 11th level.
Well, you can put more key points into it and increase the damage, but it really does. I mean, I get they were trying to basically, okay, cool, you're going to be able to throw a spirit bomb over and over again, and we want you to be able to pump it up with how much life force you throw into it. I get that. So they had to come up with a number that was really cool when you pump it up, but still useful if you wanted to throw it by itself without pumping it up. 2d6 is not that number. 3d6 maybe.
At 11th level, even then 3d6, if that's your action,
Yeah.
no, that's terrible.
So let's say at 11th level, let's say this was a level 3 fireball. Okay.
All right.
A 3rd level spell, just a basic fireball. Let's say it was 8d6 at 11th level. Now you're doing that every time you have an action. Is that okay? And it's a little too much, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be on the slightly over. Powered.
So if
So a
so if you
monk.
cut in if you cut
Hang
it in
on.
half, if you cut it in half and say 4d6, is 46 like half of a fireball every attack? Now worth it.
Probably not. Let me think here. Okay, so 11th level, you deal 1d8 damage as a monk with
Hmm.
your standard attack. You're gonna have a lot of the time you will have 4 attacks around as a monk at that point. So a d8, just assume you hit 3 attacks in a round because that's probably what you're gonna land. Uh, let's see, and then you're adding your dexterity modifier to your damage. At that point, I would assume you have at least an 18 dexterity. So every attack that hits is +4. So 12. You're looking at doing an average of probably around. You're looking at doing an average of about 24 damage a round. So 24 damage every round. What was the number you were throwing out? 46.
So 46. So we're talking multiple targets, 20-foot sphere.
Yeah. So,
Um,
so you're looking at 12 damage as an average for that for your attack. You need to have double that. So honestly, the fireball every round is probably about right.
so it's save or suck. Um, and the creature doesn't need to make the save if he's behind total cover.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, the 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 fireball every round of the 8d6 or whatever is probably on par with the damage you're going to do with just your basic attacks.
For a single target, though.
Yeah, that is fair. If it was single target, as an AOE, it's probably too much.
So 46 is an AoE.
Yeah, that's probably all right. 20-foot radius sphere, so that's pretty large. Yeah,
So they went with basically saying 2d6.
half that. Yeah,
Yeah. And then you can spend a key point to pump it up to a maximum of 3. Each point, 3 key points. So you can increase it a further 6d6, making it a fireball every round,
yeah,
as long as
but
you have key points.
yes, yeah, you're gonna run out of key pretty quick at 3 because at
I
11th level, I think you have 11.
I would say that you could pump it up 3 more times as they have it, and have it be a 46 base, and I think it'd be worth it. And at level 17, you shed bright light in a 30-foot radius, dim light an additional 30 feet. You can extinguish or restore light as a bonus action. Wow, 17th level ability, guys.
That's so overpowered.
If a creature hits you with a melee attack while this light shines, you can use reaction to deal radiant damage to the creature. The damage equals 5 plus your wisdom modifier.
Which is
Oh
at 17th
my
level, that's
god.
literal nothing. 5 plus your wisdom modifier, so you can use your reaction to deal about 10 damage. If
Guys,
you have
it's
real
equivalent
high
to a
wisdom.
first level spell every time you
Yeah,
get touched.
or 17th level. That's kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Kind of garbage. I'd rather use my reaction for anything else. Huh. Yeah, I love how like I was just going to talk about the Radiant Sunbolt, but this has now turned into a diatribe about why the Way of the Sun Soul is not that good.
Yeah, it's really kind of like it's really kind of bad because it's a good idea. Like the Radiant Sunbolt is a really cool mechanic. You're
Yeah,
taking something, you're making it ranged, you're throwing out a type of damage that's not very common. There's a way of making it better with your key points. It overall it's great,
yeah. The Radiant
but
Sunbolt I think is fine. I don't have issue with it.
well, I mean it's a D4 plus Dex, which is not the best. Any weapon the monk can use is better than that.
Yes, but if you can't reach something, this would not be something you'd do as your primary thing. Your primary thing is still always just going to be your attack action.
No, I
Uh,
honestly think that the way of the sun soul needs to basically be okay. You're just this is what you do. You're essentially a mid range um, person that can throw things, but you can still go toe to toe with somebody if needed to.
as soon as
Um,
you hit the D6 of damage, at that point it's fine because most of the stuff monks are going to be doing are going to be D6 or D8 of damage anyway.
yeah,
So it might not start out good, but it gets better as you go up in level.
And then once you get to level 11, that's the top of your martial arts mastery there.
Yeah.
Like you look at Astro's Self or Drunken Master, and just the amount of cool things that they can do. You know, like
The
Intoxicating
Drunken
Frenzy
Master
at
is good, yeah.
17th level. When you use your Furio blows, you can make 3 additional attacks with it, up to a total of 5 Furio blows, provided each Furio blows attacks a different target creature this turn. That's really cool. Oh, but Sun Souls, they could put out flames. Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Please steal my
yeah,
cantrips.
the level 17 Drunken Monk is that's way better than the Sun Shield garbage. What is the way the kids I get at 17th? At 17th, your mastery of weapons grants you extraordinary accuracy. If you miss with an attack roll using a monk weapon on your turn, you can re-roll it. Uh, so you get 1 extra free re-roll. That's still better than the Sun Shield bullshit.
And Kensai weapon.
Yeah, and a Kensai weapon.
um,
So, eh. And you know they're never going to bother trying to rework any of this stuff, though. These are
no.
here to stay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And look, if we looked at every single class that's out there with all the different archetypes, I guarantee you there's at least one subclass or archetype, minimum at least one, probably a
Mhm.
couple for every class that's just meh. It, you like if I was playing that monk, I'm not looking at the monk abilities, but if I was playing Away the Sun Soul monk, I would probably just play it up until 6th level, or maybe even go to 11th, just to get the shit fireball, but get enough key points at least, and then I would probably multi-class into something else. I would not waste my time going to 17th level for Sun Shield. Like there would
Yeah.
have to be another monk ability to make me go that high.
Yeah, I'd go to 11, I think, myself. At least. Depends on what else Monk gets at higher levels.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm just sort of flipping through to see what they get. Let's see. Tongue of the Sun and Moon, starting at 13th, you learn to touch the key of other minds so you can understand all spoken languages. Moreover, any creature that can understand a language can understand what you say. That's not bad. Diamond Soul, beginning at 14th, your mastery of key grants you proficiency in all saving throws. That's really good. Additionally, whenever you make a saving throw and fail, you can spend a key point to re-roll it and take the second result. Timeless Body, at 15th level, your key sustains you so that you suffer none of the frailty of old age and you can't be aged magically. You can still die of old age, however. So, yeah, I would probably go up to 14th level because Diamond Soul is amazing. That's really good.
hmm We
But
forgot that you don't need food or water at 15.
mm, doesn't say that.
Are you looking at the same thing?
Oh, there it is. It was that last little portion. You no longer need food or water. God forbid. The 18th level one, beginning at 18th, you can use your action to spend 4 key points to become invisible for 1 minute. During that time, you also have resistance to all damage except for force. Additionally, you can spend 8 key points to cast astral projection spell without needing material components. When you do so, you can't take any other creatures with you. Yeah, 14th level is probably where you want to cut off with the monk, at least if you were the Sun Soul.
Yeah. I want to play an Astral Self Monk. I really want to do the whole JoJo thing. But you need to be at least 17 to get that full effect. And
Yeah,
then if you're going all the way up to 17 with a monk, you don't want to skip unarmored movement at 18, where your bonus goes up to 30 feet.
yeah,
So you're running 60 feet in a round. And then at level 20, when you roll initiative and have no key points remaining, you just get 4 key points.
yeah, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
monks are an interesting one in 5e. Uh, I've never played a monk except for like I played them in one shots, I believe, a couple of times, but never
mhm.
very high level. If you ever wanted to do the high level monk, you just need somebody to run like a 20th level one shot for you.
Yeah. Somebody run a 20th level one shot for me.
Well, come down here to Alabama. I'll be glad to,
Why don't you come here?
because then I'd have to run a 20th level one shot for you.
Oh yeah, the Astro Self. I haven't seen the Cobalt Soul yet. I know it's the Critical Role one.
Kobold Soul?
Yeah.
I've not heard of this. Kobold
Uh,
Soul Monk.
it's Critical Role content.
Yeah, still. I mean,
So
for one shots, I will occasionally allow that. Oh, Way of the Cobalt Soul. I
yeah.
thought you were saying Kobold.
No, that would be even cooler though.
That's what I thought we were talking about here. Was a kobold like a specific kobold monk?
Run away!
Oh,
uh, let's see
I'm
here.
not about to go all
Uh,
through these on the
I am.
podcast.
No,
No, no,
I
no.
am.
All right,
I'm done.
go
I'm
for
doing
it.
the monks of the Cobalt Soul are an embodiment of the maximum know thy enemy, know your enemy. Through tireless research, they steel themselves against the unrelenting tides of evil. Through rigorous training, and they learn to break through their foes' mental and physical defenses. Then, once the fight is done, they record their findings for future generations of monks to study. I love it. Extra aspects. Starting at third level, you can strike pressure points to intuit
Do
crucial information about a foe. When you hit a creature with one of your attacks granted by your fury or blows, you can analyze it. Whenever an analyzed creature misses you with your attack, you can immediately use your reaction to make an unarmed attack against that creature if it's within your reach. This benefit lasts until you finish a short or long rest. Additionally, when you analyze a creature, you learn all the damage vulnerabilities, damage resistance, and damage immunities and condition immunities.
this is straight out of that's straight out of Final Fantasy.
That's
It
straight
is.
out of Sherlock Holmes.
But yeah, that too. Well, yeah, yeah. But no, I remember in the Final Fantasy, the very first game, there was an ability that you could, a spell you could cast that would tell you all the weaknesses and immunities and resistances and stuff of an
Yeah,
enemy.
but you didn't deliver it via punch.
No, no, this because it is delivered via a pressure point strike or whatever. Yeah, that's Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. version of it, at least. Of which I
Which,
like those movies, by the way.
oh yeah, those are fantastic. Starting at 6th level, you can precisely strike a hidden cluster of nerves on a creature, temporarily preventing it from masking its true thoughts and intents. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend one key point to force it to make a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is unable to speak a deliberate lie, and all charisma checks directed at the creature are made with advantage for up to 10 minutes. You know if it succeeds or fails on the saving throw. An
What?
affected creature is aware of the effect and thus can avoid answering questions to which it would normally respond with a lie. Such a creature can be evasive in its answers as long as the effect lasts. If you wish to impose this effect on a creature without injuring it, you can attack the creature by simply touching it, dealing no damage on a hit.
Just
What?
no, no. This one is just too stupid for use. If you punch something and then you're gonna start asking it questions,
Tell me the truth. Punch. You can't handle the truth. Punch, punch, punch.
I mean, I guess if you've got it like tied up to a chair and you're just beating it into submission so that it's going to answer your questions truthfully, I think where I come from, that's called torture. But they call it extort truth here. So
Mystical intrusion. Also at 6th level, you have extensively studied
that's
the history.
mystical erudition.
Whatever. You have extensively studied the history and lore within the archives of the Cobalt Soul. You learn one language of your choice and gain proficiency with one of the following skills of your choice: Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, or Religion. If you already have proficiency in one of the listed skills, you can instead choose to double your proficiency bonus for an ability check that you make that uses the chosen proficiency. You gain an additional language and additional skill proficiency from the list above, or you can double the bonus of an existing proficiency from the list at 11th and 17th level. That's a lot of shit.
Uh, you learn a language of your choice and you gain a proficiency with one of these five skills.
Three times.
And then you get it two more times. That's fine though, because that's not like a combat breaking thing by any means.
Uh-huh.
It seems weird, but it's not the worst thing ever.
Mind of Mercury. Starting at 11th level, you honed your awareness and reflexes through the mental aptitude and pattern recognition. Once per turn, if you've already taken your reaction, you may spend one key point to take an additional reaction. You can use only one reaction per triggering effect.
Yeah, I don't hate this. Yeah,
Eh,
I
you're
don't
using a
have issue.
resource. Yeah, you're fine.
You're using a resource to get one extra reaction, of which at most you're going to get one extra attack. It's fine. As long as they put that ability at a high enough level that you're not likely to ever be able to, multi-class and get a second one, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, 11 is that number.
Yeah, 11th level is a perfect level for something like that.
And each reaction you can only do this effect per reaction.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can't do it multiple times. So, debilitating barrage. Upon reaching a 17th level, you gain the knowledge to manipulate a creature's key to undermine their fortitude. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 3 key points to cause a creature to gain vulnerability to one of the damage type of your choice for 1 minute. 1 minute. Or until end of turn, in which it
Has taken
or
damage of
until
that type.
yeah. Oh yeah, okay. If a creature has resistance to the damage type you chose, the resistance is suppressed for 1 minute rather than gain a vulnerability. The creature is immune to the type of damage you chose that's unaffected. A creature who is affected by this feature cannot be affected again for 24 hours.
Honestly, if anything, I feel that's too weak. I think it should be along the lines of give it vulnerability for 1 round to a damage type of your choice. Not maybe not the 1 minute but the fact that it's going to have this vulnerability and then it takes that damage and then it's gone. That's just kind of weak, I guess.
It requires a team, and you'd have to set up almost a guaranteed crit. Like I can see where this would be very useful sometimes on a very uncommon occasion,
Yeah.
where you're ahead in initiative, then it's the person after you that hits with like a flaming longsword or some shit like that.
See, I always see vulnerability in D&D in 5e, and I think you need to see it a lot more because there are so very few things with vulnerability in the game. But it might simply be the fact that they actually did playtest the shit out of vulnerability and found it's just too potent.
It's arguably better than getting a crit.
Like I'm just thinking because you get this at 17th level, so you've got access to very high level wizard spells at that point. Um, yeah,
So
psychic scream is a beautiful example of this. So if you give them vulnerability to the psychic scream damage, let me just pull this up. It deals 14d6 psychic damage. So if you give them vulnerability to psychic, what is that? That's 28d6 damage.
yeah,
That's a pretty hefty chunk that they're gonna take.
you also essentially push off the taking half damage too on a success.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you're guaranteeing 14d6 damage with the possibility of 28 and a stun.
Yeah, so your average damage at that point is it's gonna be like 90 something damage.
Yeah.
So that might you're burning a 9th level spell for 90 damage and an ability from another character. But still, most of the really big monsters you're going to be fighting at that level are 300-ish hit points or so. You could
Like,
you can take a third of their hit points pretty easily like that.
it would work really well like if you had a paladin in the group too.
Hmm.
So
Oh
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
he's gonna be vulnerable to radiant next turn, and punch, and then you smite.
yeah.
It makes instead of waiting for that crit fish.
It's just giving you that crit. Yeah,
It's just giving it to you, and doubling is better than a critical.
yeah. And then God
Uh,
forbid you actually crit on top of that.
Have
Have you ever seen a paladin hit for 258 damage? Because you're about to.
ever seen what happens when you get hit so hard you go into the next dimension? Well, Yugi boy.
Yeah. So okay, maybe my initial thoughts on that was
You would have to set it up. Your team would have to build around this in a sort of way, because it's also 3 key points.
yeah,
That's a lot of key points
yeah.
for a single thing.
You need to talk to your teammates and plan on that attack. And you need it to be, like I said, either the wizard, the sorcerer, the paladin critic. You don't want it to be the monk dealing 1d8 bludgeoning
Yeah.
damage or some shit.
You need to come up with code words, and you need those code words to happen.
Jenga!
You know,
Jenga!
well, part of the code word has to be like what you're about to make vulnerable. You know,
Yeah.
Jenga lightning bolt, like the fastball special, but like instead of fastball special, it'd be like fast lightning special or lightning ball special. I don't know, something
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
So you start giving it like anime attack names.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
finger of necrotic death,
I
finger of
get,
radiant death,
I can get behind that.
and you're like, what? Nothing touched me. Oh, just wait.
It's fine. It's fine. You're gonna take some damage. Yeah,
Hold
overall,
on, 2 turns.
the way the Cobalt stole, but there's a couple decent things in there. Extort Truth is still really stupid, though.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about enough for this week.
What? We
Yeah,
just got started.
yeah, over an hour ago.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig.
I'm southbound and down. All my rolls are crits. It's time for me to hit the bricks.